Hello, everyone. It's Iman here, one of your TAs for the fall 2024 semester. Today, we're going to cover the different academic integrity policies of the course and what constitutes as cheating and academic misconduct. I want to give a shout out to my fellow TA, Andy, for revamping the slides for us. So briefly, we're going to go over the different tasks that you will have in the course. They are quizzes, homework part ones, homework part twos, and then projects. Going into depth, the quizzes, they're usually based on the topics that are covered in the lectures, and they generally consist of multiple choice questions, as well as programming related questions. There are also numerical questions. And then you also encounter questions based on like research papers. And then for homework part ones, the main end goal is that you're planning on building a DL library called My Torch. Um, but you're not allowed to use existing libraries such as PyTorch or TensorFlow for homework part ones, and you are only allowed to use like NumPy because the main idea of homework part ones is to know what actually happens in the background. And then for homework part twos, it usually involves using existing libraries such as PyTorch to build and train neural networks and like handling Kaggle competition. And then lastly, we have projects for which details will be shared later on in the course. And then going over some general rules that you should keep in mind throughout the course. Make sure to make a private post when your question includes snippets from your code or you need help with debugging, and then again, it involves some sort of your code. On the other hand, we also highly encourage you to make your post public if you think the question that you're asking is general and it could also like help others too. It makes it easier on the TAs because if I answer something for someone in private, someone else could have also had the same question. And then in general, it is your responsibility to make sure that your code, your notebooks, everything stays private, and more about like the policies and how these cases of academic integrity violations will be handled could be found in the link below. Going over study groups. The study groups, they play a crucial role and it provides for a good learning experience in general. So at the start of the course, you will each be assigned four groups of four. You will each be assigned to a group of four, and you'll also have a study mentor. So throughout the course, you're like meant to collaborate with each other, whether it's for like homework quizzes or a project. But while doing so, you should keep in mind the academic integrity guidelines. And then you also have a possibility of working on the group project together with your study group. But in case if your study group is not, if people from your study group are not doing a project, we will also reassign people for group projects later on in the course. So that shouldn't be a problem. Now going over the policies for quizzes, you are allowed to discuss doubts, share thoughts on questions, and recommend relevant sections from lectures or reference materials with your group mates. And for coding questions in the quizzes, you're allowed to share documentation or specific function that you found helpful. And for similar for numerical analysis, you're allowed to refer to pseudocode or equations that helped you get to the answer. And for the paper, questions related to the paper, you're allowed to suggest specific sections. Now going over things that you're not allowed to do, you should definitely not see the answers or the options once your teammate has submitted to see the correct options. For coding questions, you're not allowed to share your code or directly write the code for your friend or copy the same exact code. Similar for numerical analysis, you are not allowed to solve or see the solutions of your friends. But if you want help with steps and all, it's fine to figure out like how to do it in terms of steps. For paper, you're not allowed to pinpoint the exact location, which helps you get to the answer. And you're also not allowed to search the questions on the quizzes on Google or any large language models such as ChatGPT. So for homework part ones, you are allowed and encouraged to discuss the pseudocode. You're allowed to explain each other the code, understand the code together. You're also allowed to look at each other's code to get a better understanding of how they've implemented it, but you shouldn't be writing code while you're looking at someone else's code. You're also allowed to help each other with autograder issues. You're also allowed to refer specific functions or documents that were useful to you. You're not allowed to again write code for your friend or copy it from the internet and so on. Now going over for homework part twos, it's the same as part ones, but adding on to onto the policies for part twos, you are allowed to share the abolition sheets and for instance, like the sharing the details about the hyperparameters that work for you or the different architectures. And in general, for like 1V logs and plots, you guys will have like a team where you'd be able to see each other's run to get a better idea of what works and what doesn't work. You're also allowed to get inspiration from existing DL implementations, but you're not allowed to look at other people's code while coding. You're not allowed to copy code from the internet. And most importantly, you're also not allowed to use pre-trained models from internet or from your friend. For instance, you can't just take your friend's weights and use those because we are going to see like your exact runs to make sure that whatever results that you got were from your own like notebook and you ran that. And you're also not allowed to fine-tune models from the internet. Now for the projects, you're allowed to use code, models, data from the internet. You can reach out to the authors of the previous paper in case you don't find any of these like implementations readily available. But what is not allowed is that you cannot violate any license terms. Like you have to follow state laws while you're like, for instance, gathering data, and you cannot manipulate or fabricate data just for reporting like good results. And we'll ensure that all of these are thoroughly checked when grading projects. So that's it for my side. Thank you so much, and I'm looking forward to seeing you all. Bye-bye.